Hi, it's Trevor Blumenau from Voodoo Robotics. I just want to go through with you how you would receive ACKs and NACKs from our device. Now, when I say an ACK or a NACK, an ACK generally means that a picker acknowledged a pick by pushing a button on a device. A NACK means that the device timed out. Now, of course, when you send a command to our device, as we've talked about in previous videos, you specify the maximum number of seconds that command is going to be pending on a device. And so when you specify that maximum number, if your device reaches that maximum number, the command times out automatically, and that constitutes a NACK, a non-acknowledgement. So how do we receive these ACKs and NACKs? Well, the first thing we got to do is we got to write a little piece of code, and this code is a server that we're going to write. It's actually an HTTP server. This example code that I'm showing here is actually written in Python, and you can see we import a few libraries over here, and I'll post a copy of this code below this video for your use and reuse. You can borrow from it, adapt it to your needs. But really, this code that I've written here is a very simple shell, essentially, that's just going to act as an HTTP server, and it's going to receive GET requests or POST requests, and all it's going to do is print out what was received. So you can see here, in the case of a POST request, it's going to parse the header to get the content type. If the content type is an application/JSON type, it's going to get the length, and then it's going to parse this length and print out the content of what was parsed in that JSON. So that's what the POST does. The GET is almost identical. It's just getting the same parameters out of a query string. Okay, so we're going to run this server, and I'm running it on this machine called bigblock-demo.voodoorobotics.com on port 3000. So you can see here I'm starting my server on port 3000. The code that I'm running in Python basically just starts the web server, hands it the host name and the server port with this my server class, and then it just is going to spin forever until it gets an interrupt. Notice actually my host name over here, I've just declared it empty, so it's going to just respond to any request essentially on port 3000. So that's the way this code is working, and again, all that it's doing is it's just printing out what was sent to the server as a GET request or a POST request. So just to go back to our device over here, you can see we've got this device over here happens to be let's see, FC9032-236AA1. And so just like we've done in previous calls, in previous videos, we're going to send this device a call. Here's the device ID, and we're going to tell it to flash the LED and display the message pick, and ask for a quantity of 3. It's only going to last for 5 seconds. So let's run this code, and you can see the output of this run in this window down here behind the device. So we're just going to run that, and you'll see the device respond. See the light turns on. It's only going to last for 5 seconds, and then it's going to time out and go back. Now, if you look in this window over here, you can actually see the output of our server process. So I've got that running in this window over here. Let me hit carriage return a couple of times so you can see any new request that comes in. And let's go back and we'll run this command again just so that you can see what's happening here. So when we execute this command, after 5 seconds, the device is going to time out, and lo and behold, we get this POST callback. Now, how did we set this up? This is a very interesting thing. How did it know to make this call to this web server? Well, if you look in our settings, right, on voodoodevices.com, you can see here we've actually specified the confirmation URL. So this confirmation URL is very, very important. It tells the server where to send these ACKs and NACKs when a transaction is completed. So we're telling it to send all ACKs and NACKs to this server, and we've included a port number in the URL. We're using HTTP, not HTTPS protocol in this case. You could put HTTPS in there if you want. We're also including this prefix here, callback. We could put in whatever we wanted here. We could even set this up as a GET request. In this case, we're doing a POST request. You can see down here, if you were going to do a GET request, then you would include your parameters on the GET line in the callback URL. Anyway, so that's how you set up where you want the callback to go to. And again, we're just going to go back to this particular device. Let's look at that again now. So here's our command. We're going to this device, and we're getting a POST request as a result with this feedback. Now notice here the nonce. This is really important. Let's change this nonce to A, B, C, D, E. Okay? And let's run this code again. And you'll see now that the device will light up. We get the command to pick 3 devices. And this time, when it times out, you'll see we got a nonce of A, B, C, D, E. Now, let's run that again. And this time, we're going to run it again. This time, I'm going to actually push the button. And you'll see now, I'm acknowledging the pick. And you can see now that we got, instead of a NAC like we got before, we now are getting an ACK because I pushed the button. So here before we got a NAC, but now we actually got an ACK. Very interesting. So in other words, when the picker pushes that button, you're going to get a callback in the URL that you specified in your settings with an ACK in the data. And if the picker fails to click the button, to push the button, then you're going to get a NAC on your server in the POST settings. Now, interesting question here. What happens if we just hold down this button? If we just hold this button down for about 5 seconds and then release it, you can see here we actually get another request, another POST callback. And this one does not have a nonce, but the ACK-NAC is actually a call. So there's actually a third type of ACK-NAC here. We've got an acknowledgement, a non-acknowledgement. Both of those are for a command, but we can also instigate a call from our device. We sometimes call this an unsolicited button press. Notice, let's do that again. I'm just going to hold the button down for a few seconds here. The minimum time is 3 seconds. And then when I release that button, it sends a request, and you can see here the new call arrives in the printout. Now, look, notice that the nonce is empty. Well, there is a way for us to set that nonce. And we'll go in here, and let's go back to devices. And if we go in here, you can see there's actually a field here for an unsolicited nonce. So let's put in, this is my special nonce. Okay? And let's save that. We'll save that to the device. And now, if we go back, the output of our server, again, is over here. And so we can just monitor that as we push the button again, 1001, 1002, 1003. And you can see now we got this special nonce in our output. Now, one thing I want to caution you about is that this functionality is actually overloaded. So let me just show you a little quirk here for a second. If we go back in here and we remove all of the static information that's associated with this device, and by the way, remove the area and location, and we save that on this device, we go back to the starting state of the device. This is with our Voodoo Robotics logo. If you see the Voodoo Robotics logo and the barcode on there, really what that means is that this device has no static information in it. It does not have static A through E, and it does not have location. And if on a device like that you go up and you actually hold down the button for 4 seconds, you'll see that instead of actually creating an unsolicited call, it actually jumps into demo mode. So the point is that you only can use this functionality of an unsolicited call in the case of a device that has either statics or locations set up in the device. If the device is uninitialized, then the demo mode is active on that device. Okay, so you can see there the 3 different feedback types that we have. An ACK is for a picker that reaches a button and pushes the button. A NAC is if the timer expires, the timer that you express once again in your call when you're sending the command. That would be this timer. And the call type, an ACK-NAC of type call, as you can see here, is from an unsolicited long button push from the picker. That's all I have for you today. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.